Hey, welcome back to the shop. Today I'm going to throw out a video on some new additions to the shop. And all of you know by now I'm addicted to chainsaws. I tried back in October to quell my addiction as best I could, but did not work. I just can't get enough of chainsaws for some reason. And if you like chainsaws and you can either agree or disagree with my addiction, or at least to be entertained by it, stick around. I've got some cool saws to show you. Really cool saws, some big old school muscle saws I picked up, and some smaller ones that I didn't intend to get. Some of them got thrown in on the deal, but some cool saws nonetheless. Happy to have all of them in the collection. So anyway, let's get to it. First saw up on the bench, Homelite C-51. Old school muscle saw, 77 cc's. This thing is in actually really good shape. A guy posted this on Craigslist. And like a lot of the saws I pick up, it just sat and sat and sat. And I finally had enough of it sitting, and I lowballed him, and he accepted, and I went up and grabbed it. I think I paid $35 for this saw. But it's all there. It's got that great patina that I like. I have not touched this saw. One of the viewers on my channel suggested that I start off with the conditions of the saws when I pick them up, and then later post video after I've cleaned it. So I'm going to start doing that so you guys can see what these look like when they first hit the shop. This one's not too bad. It's a heavy saw, by the way, but it's in great shape. Everything's there. Like I said, it just needs a good cleaning. The guy told me it runs, but he can't get it to stay running. And this is the original Perma-Hard Homelite bar. Hard nose, obviously. Chain's in good shape. Skip tooth. But yeah, overall, just great shape. Like I said, old school muscle right here. Happy to have it in the shop. I'll dive into these saws. I'm going to quit picking up saws for the time being and try and get some of these saws fixed and in the wood. I got more saws that are non-running than I do that are running. So, all right, let's get to the next saw. But that is the Homelite C-51. Old school muscle. Next saw up on the bench, another McCulloch 1010. I just made a video on one of these, so I won't spend a whole lot of time on this saw, but I think this is my third or fourth 1010. Like the XL12 and the 610, I've got an affinity for these saws. I don't know what it is. If they're priced right, which this one was, I'm a sucker. I was actually looking to get a right-hand start 1010 from the guy, and he had sold it, said he had another 1010 he was looking to get rid of. He offered it to me for the right price, and here she sits. This is not the original McCulloch bar. It's an Oregon bar, as you can see. Chain's got a lot of life left in it. Full house, 16-inch bar. Saw's in pretty good shape overall. Little paint missing up here due to fuel overspill, but that's typical. This saw is a runner. I've fired it up. She runs great. Runs great. Doesn't even need a carb kit. You can see I gotta rewind the starter recoil spring, but that's no big deal. Like I said, it's for a 1010, it's in pretty good shape overall. These caps for the oil reservoir, they take a beating. They're really hard to get off on these 1010s. And a lot of times people use pliers to get them off, and that's why those caps get so beat up. But anyway, another 1010 added to the collection. Happy to have it. Next saw up on the bench, I bet you can't tell by the red paint what this is. It is a Pioneer 1200A. For those of you that own a Pioneer, you know these saws are just notorious for having horrible paint. If you breathe on them wrong, the paint flakes off. Original paint you can see here on the handle. It's kind of a green color, greenish yellow. So not surprised that the saw was repainted. I picked this saw up from a son-in-law of a guy, the original owner. And I pulled the muffler on this thing, and that piston and the rings in there are just absolutely pristine. It's got a ticket on it from 1996. And what does it say here? It looks like they put in a new fuel line, and what is that, check carb, I guess. So I don't know if this thing runs or not. I was not able to pop it off, and I'll show you why. This is why. Absolutely nothing there. And I don't know if the dogs are shot or if the dogs are just flat out missing. I have no idea. But looking at the piston and cylinder, I'm pretty excited to see what I can do with this thing. Overall, it's in pretty good shape. It's got a good aggressive dog on it. I'm assuming this is the original bar. It's a 20-inch bar. Sprocket nose. Chain is, it's seen better days. That thing's gonna come off. But again, this is how I pick up a lot of the saws. There's just a lot of oil and grime all over them. Just real dirty when they get into the shop. But I love the patina. Even on the repaint, I love the patina. So this is a 58cc saw, real close copy of the Super XL XL12. So Pioneer 1200A, happy to have it in the collection. Look for that in an upcoming video. Next saw up on the bench, Homelite XL2. I've never owned one of these. It's a tiny saw. Smallest saw I think I have in my collection. That is a 12-inch bar with the smallest chain that I've ever seen. Overall, the saw's in just fantastic shape. These saws come in magnesium version, which is what this is, or a plastic version. So happy to have the magnesium version. 26 cc's from what I read. What makes these saws unique is they have two triggers, one up here on the front so you can use it as a top handle saw, and one in the rear so that you can use it as a rear handle saw. That's pretty cool. Picked this saw up for 10 bucks along with another bar and a bag of parts. I mean, this saw just does not have a whole lot of hours on it. You can probably tell that. It's in great shape. So happy to see the saw in my collection and excited to see what I can do with this and get it out in the wood and run it. From what I understand, these are little powerhouses. Power to weight ratio on these is pretty good. So another saw that I'm added to the collection. Happy to have it. Homelite XL2. Go from one of the tiniest saws in my collection to one of the bigger, older saws in my collection. This is a McCulloch Super 33. And I got this saw from the same guy that I got that Pioneer 1200 from that you just saw earlier. It's in similar condition. It's just sat in a barn and the weather's taking its toll on it. Has compression. I have not pulled the muffler on it. But again, this is typical of the condition of the saws that I get. Just a massive an aggressive dog on this thing. And then it's got that bar that's what, at a 30-degree angle or whatever that is. That is the original bar and the original chain. Chain's in good shape. The guy gave me, I don't know, another 5 chains for, I think, either this bar. He gave me another bar too. I think goes on this saw. But overall, I mean, everything is here. I'll flip it around so you can see the other side. It has the McCulloch emblem in the middle, but it's missing. This is supposed to say Super and 33. So I am on the hunt for another part saw. And hopefully between the 2 saws, I can have one saw that's up and running and looking good. But these Super 33s, these are what, 54 cc's? And it's missing the bar cover. A lot of these saws are. Muffler obviously is seen better days. But this is one of those saws. Oh, it's got full wrap. Forgot to mention that. But it's got a funky carb on it. I should have flipped it around. Let me show you the other side. And I'm really not doing a review on this. This is more condition of the saw, but carb's underneath here. It's a McCulloch carb. So I got to pop that off and see what's going on in there. But real excited to have this. I am a huge McCulloch fan. Probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite saws to run, McCulloch's. So happy to have this in the lineup and excited to just dive into it, see what we can do. But that is the McCulloch Super 33. Next saw up on the bench. Real excited about this one. Homelite XL 101. I have never owned one of these and I've never run one. This saw, other than the dust and grime that you see on it, is in absolutely almost new condition. If you look at the handle here, the pinstriping on the handle is still almost 100% there. All of the paint on the the carb box cover, it's all there. The decals on the side, all there. The paint is just unbelievable. I'm gonna flip it around so you can see the other side. Again, this is the side of the saw, clutch side cover, where it gets the most abuse. Everything is just pristine. There's a little wear up in here. But this saw has obviously not seen a whole lot of use. And I picked this saw up for $25. It sat and sat and sat on Craigslist, and a guy was trying to sell 3 saws, and he sold 2 of them. One of them was a McCulloch that I was thinking about getting. But before I could pull the trigger on that one, somebody grabbed it. This one sat, and nobody was interested in it. And it got to the point where he just reduced it in price. And I lowballed him, he accepted. It was missing the oil reservoir cap. And this was one I had laying around for an XL12. Fits perfect. I don't know if that's why somebody wasn't interested in it, but I was happy to get it. No dogs, but I mean, again, look at the front of the saw. There's just not a lot of wear on it. This is a 54 cc saw. Again, I don't know too much about them. The bar, in terms of its height, this is a 2-inch bar. Most bars are taller at 3 inches. So that's a little bit different for me. But that's original Homelite bar. I'm assuming that's the original chain. Just absolutely pristine condition. I have not tried to pop this off yet. But That is a Homelite XL101. Just a fantastic little saw. Happy to have it in the collection and excited to see what I can do. Again, most of this is just sap and just grime. That's all sap. That'll all come off. I mean, look at that handle. I mean, there's no paint missing on it. It's just nuts. Like I said, that's just all sap. So I'll get this thing cleaned up and it'll probably look like a brand new saw. Just amazes me that the paint is still on here, especially up here on top too. All that paint and the pinstriping on the handle. Anyway, you can tell I'm a little bit excited about this saw just because it's in fantastic condition. And I love Homelites, and yeah, I don't know, it just checks all the boxes for me. So again, Homelite XL101, extremely happy to have this. Next saw up on the bench, no, it's not another McCulloch, but I do have more McCullochs. It is a Poulan 295 Pro, super clean. The saw is actually in fantastic shape for what it is. This is not a saw that I was pursuing. This saw was given to me when I went to go pick up another saw. It's a runner. I've started it. The starter's got some issues with the dogs. And it runs okay. Probably needs a carb kit or something. But I haven't really had much time or interest in digging into it. I've got so many other saws that pique my interest that I'd dive into first. But for what it is, it's in great shape. Pretty clean. I haven't touched the saw. Is how I got it. It's got a funky bar. I think that is how you tension the chain. So I don't know a whole lot about these saws, but if that's the case, I don't think you can ever swap this bar out. And again, it's got, is that one of those bars that you can't flip? I think so. So I think that bar is going to have to stay on there because I don't know that there's another chain tensioner, because now that I look down here, I see gears. I don't know if you can see that. So there's a patent pending on it. Obviously, it's the first saw I've ever seen it on, so I don't think that went too far in terms of popularity. But, you know, I've seen some guys talk about these saws, and some guys like them. It's an all plastic saw. So again, I don't know a whole lot about it. It's a 20-inch bar. Comes with a tiny little but aggressive dog on there. But again, it's all intact. So, I mean, can't complain. I think this is, I don't know if I mentioned it already. I think it's a 46cc saw. So it's not chump change. Anyway, I'm happy to have any saw in my collection. Poulan 295 Pro, super clean. Next up on the bench, another McCulloch 610. And this one, much like that Poulan that you just saw, super clean. This one is super clean. I picked this saw up for $35. Guy had it listed much higher than that. And I lowballed him, and you know, I typically do that, and I wait. And he eventually took me up on my offer. He says it's not running right now. He doesn't know exactly what's wrong with it. But this is cleaner than the other 610s I have in my collection. And I'm happy to say, not only does it come with one dog, it comes with two. So I'm going to probably take off one of those and throw it on my other 610. Original 16-inch sprocket nose bar. Chain's got some good life left in it. But this saw is just in fantastic shape. Like I said earlier when I was talking about the 1010, I love these 610s. I love the look. Some people don't. I do. I love working on them, and I love running them. Look at those dogs. Just a thing of beauty. But like I said, it's in fantastic shape. So it probably just needs a carb kit, I would imagine. It's got tons of compression. I looked in the carb box real quick and everything looks good. So another 610 McCulloch. They always put a smile on my face. So I'll dive into that. Look for this one in an upcoming video. Next saw up on the bench. Wouldn't you know it? It's another McCulloch. This is a Mac 3516. As you can plainly see, stated on the side, it is 35 cc's of pure muscle. This is another saw that I'm just a sucker for when they sit on Craigslist, because I'm always thinking that somebody's going to end up throwing a saw like this in the dump. And I just can't stomach a chainsaw that's in good shape. I mean, this thing's dirty, but it's in good shape. I just can't stomach a chainsaw going to the dump. It just can't. That's part of my problem with my addiction. Because I really had no desire. This wasn't on my hot list of saws to get. But now that I have it in my collection, I'm pretty excited that I do. And that's part of my crazy addiction, I guess. But overall, it's in great shape. The guy said he just got tired of trying to get it to run. He said it runs, but he said it runs like, and I can't tell you on YouTube what he said, but you can guess. But like I said, just pretty good shape overall. And it's a McCulloch, so what's to complain about? I'll flip it back around on the other side. One issue I did note is the purge or primer bulb. There's no fuel coming through that. So I don't have any saws with those on there, so I'm not exactly sure what I need to do to diagnose that. But I'll dive into it. Again, McCulloch Mac 3516. She's all there. She's in my collection. And she's yellow. Nothing to complain about. Puts a smile on my face. Happy to have it. Next saw up on the bench is a big old school muscle saw, the Homelite Zip. This is a 77 cc saw. I picked this one up a while ago. I knew it was a non-runner. And if you watch my other videos, the one on my McCulloch 1010 that I picked up for $25, this is actually the saw that I went to go get. And then he pulled out that McCulloch. But this thing, obviously it's an old saw, but for what it is, it's in great shape. I was told it doesn't run, and I'm not sure exactly what's wrong with it. It is locked up. The bar and chain look to be original, and they are just heavily rusted. So is the starter. It'll catch and then it'll release, but it won't turn over. But these are big, heavy, old school muscle saws. Just a lot to like if you like vintage saws. It's just a lot of different curves and lines and nooks and crannies. That's the only negative, other than the fact that it won't turn over, is the handle got damaged back here. And they got some baling wire on there holding it together. So, if I had to guess, some old farmer had this saw at one point. Probably had a piece of equipment fall on the back handle and was out in the field and did what he had to do to keep working. But, you know, other than it being a little bit dusty, dirty, and tiny little bit of grime on it, she's in pretty good shape. So I'll dive into this one of these days and see exactly why it's locked up. But I would say it probably has a lot to do with it just sitting somewhere down in here. There's some rust going on that I think is preventing it from... I haven't pulled the muffler yet. Actually, I take that back. No, I haven't pulled the muffler on this one yet. But anyway, that's the Homelite Zip. She is big. She is heavy. Last but certainly not least, the behemoth McCulloch 170. This is a heavy, big saw. This thing is 87 cc's. And funny story, if you guys have watched Deadliest Catch, I'm up here in the Pacific Northwest, just real close to Seattle. And the Wizard, that boat is actually in port down at Fisherman's Terminal. And the guy I got this from, his boat's docked right in front. So it was kind of a fun trip to go down and go get it. I mean, it's only a 10-15 minute drive for me. He told me he found this in a trash bin out on the docks. Took a look at it and figured, you know what? Somebody's going to probably want that. Why are they throwing it away? And he was right. I did. One thing you don't have to do is twist my arm for any McCulloch. You probably know that by now. This thing is dirty, but overall it's all there. Appears to be all there. It's got full wrap. Just a massive and aggressive dog on this thing. I love these old Macs and the aggressive dogs that they put on them. Original barn chain, I'm assuming. What's funny is, I'll show you back here, down underneath it says emergency. So he thinks that this was used by the port way back in the day, and they might have been doing some cleaning out. But it's all there. The only thing that I saw is it's the ignition switch. It's got a little chip off the side, but that's fine. We're actually down on the bottom too. But the oiler works. Choke, that's one of those chokes that you hold down. It's there. And I'm going to try and flip this around for you on camera. It's heavy. Like I said, she's definitely dirty, but she's all there. She's got good compression. And I know some of these saws were gear drive. This is not one of those. But it is a right-hand start. And it still has the muffler cover on it, or guard. I was super excited to get this saw. And it's got, I haven't tried to pop it off yet, but it's got the old Tillotson HL carb in there. Those are great carbs. So I'm excited to get this thing cleaned up. See if I can get it running and get it in the wood. Tank looked pretty good on it. Just a massive saw. Massive saw. That is the McCulloch 170. I'm going to grab my tiniest saw that I just put in this video. I'm going to set it right next to it so you can see the difference between one of my bigger saws and one of my smaller saws. Let me go grab it real quick. There you go. McCulloch 170 up against the Homelite XL2. It looks like a toy. Just a massive saw. Anyway, thanks for joining me today. Like I said, I've got to start putting these saws back in the wood, getting into them, figuring out what's going on with them rather than picking up more saws. So look for some upcoming videos on these saws as I get them running and get them in the wood. Man, look at the difference there. That's a great angle. Just night and day between the two. That's awesome. Anyway, thanks for joining me today. I am a chainsaw nut. Hope you are too. And I will catch you on the next video.